And just like that, I got to work on that intro. I gotta put a whoosh or something in there. Sal, I'm out here on the Back in the Day Group Show, episode 5 for March 1st, 2021 already. Brought to you by Digital Saviors Chicago. Yeah, a lot of people like, yes, it is me. And yes, there are people who do work for me. And Digital Saviors Chicago, we transfer VHS tapes, videotapes, old mixtapes, film, VHS-Cs, you name it. If it's got a picture, sound, or video on it, we can digitize it, transfer it to DVD, CD, whatever you want, whatever you need, we can do it for you. Okay. And it's free local pickup and delivery at 815-556-2685. Or you can visit the website, which I'm about to show you right here. Look at that, huh? Yeah. DigitalSaviorsChicago.com. All right, let's get right into the shows, shall we? We're going to start bringing on guests with us every week, and we've got a great schedule of guests coming up for you as we go back in the day, talk about some of the best stuff, because we all know that the best music, movies, TV shows have all been made. We're just here to help you remember them all. So we're on a variety of different networks and platforms, including YouTube, Twitch, Facebook. Then it's on demand, not only on those platforms, but also MeWe, Rumble, on the beatchicago.com's website as well, where you can watch it live, and you can watch all the on-demand shows from the past episodes. So tonight, I am thrilled that I get to bring on, for those of you who are in Chicago and those of you who heard her voice on mixtapes and other shows, including lead-ins to the mixes at WBMX back in the day, even The Quiet Storm and all these other shows that were heard on WBMX back in the day. Veronique was that voice that I get to bring in here. Say hello.
Hey.
Look, and I got her. I didn't have to. I hit like the right buttons and everything. We got Veronique to join us tonight here on the Back in the Day show. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I got my vaccine, and I'm feeling a little bit more confident and going out. And speaking of back in the day, I would never have imagined a day like like the times that we're going through now.
Yeah, I mean, the worst thing we had to, well, let's not talk about it, but the worst thing we had to worry about, there was a cure for all of us back then. It was a little different. But hey, back in the day, you remember when you were on the air here, you were doing, was it 10 till 2, right? Well, because I know you bounced around a little bit.
I bounced around. Yeah. Let's see, I was on from 7 to midnight. Mm-hmm. But then from 10 to midnight, I did music for lovers only. Right. And, we had the best love music back in the day.
Oh, they don't even make it like that anymore.
I hear 20-year-olds playing it, and I'm like, what are you doing, man? You're listening to like the Isley Brothers? And they're like, yeah, I'm surprised at the amount of young people that listen to like, I shouldn't say our music, but yeah, it was our music.
Well, back then too, when we were growing up, we were, we had talked about this before. We were marketed. I mean, not that we were marketed, but even in the 80s, when you think about the Marx Brothers, Abbott and Costello, Cab Calloway, those were 40, 50 years in the past when we were, in our 20s and 30, or 20s for that matter. And a lot of these kids just don't get any of that marketed to them, or, we had to wait, TNT, was it TNT? No, what's the movie network? Like TCM. The classics now are from the 80s and 90s, whereas when we were, the classics from, 1935, we were watching A Day at the Races,
Yeah.
And these kids are starting to discover a lot of that old stuff, even the classic rock stuff, whether it was classic R&B and in a lot of the local bands too, because back then when you were doing music for lovers only, you had Amusement Park Band, who had a great ballad called No. He had bands from Chicago, Magnum Force, Share My Love, and a lot of those.
I used to live right down the street from the Staple Singers when I was growing up.
Oh, God, yeah.
And that was fun. And, Pops would come. There used to be like a little, mom and pop restaurant, and Pops would come. And, the kid, he'd always give us kids candy. And just nice.
When I was really little, I mean, I didn't grow to be much taller, but when I was really little, I used to watch Jubilee Showcase on Sunday mornings.
Isabel Joseph Johnson.
Yes, and my mother at the time was working. There was a club out in the South Side. It was in a hotel. It was called the Town and Country, which was right off of Sibley, at about 147th over there.
We're
And
right before you get to Calumet City.
yeah, and she would get home late from her singing gig when I was little, and I go banging on her door. Mom, come on, Reverend James Cleveland's on, and I'm banging on her door like right after the Magic Door Show, which was the show about some dude that sat in a mushroom.
I remember.
You know, and actually, I guess that guy is one of the guys who has something to do with The Simpsons. I guess he does some voices for The Simpsons. But I used to watch Jubilee Showcase, and you would see the staple singers, and oh my God, all these great singers. I mean, artists and singers. It was such great stuff.
And a lot of them would just drop by the station because they were in Chicago, like Curtis Mayfield.
Yeah.
You know, what's the other one? He used to always beg. He had love songs, but he was always begging the woman. Tyrone Davis.
Tyrone Davis. Wow.
Baby, please.
Yeah. Oh, God. Turn back the hands. My mom did background vocals for him. I forgot which track that was. But
really?
She did probably about 71, 72 it had to be. And they were at, I forgot the studio was on Michigan Avenue. Odyssey Studios. I think it was the studio where they did that session when I think it was about 6. I used to love to go to the studio.
You got a great memory.
Yeah.
I mean, wow.
You know, if you get punished enough like I did, you tend to categorize everything and when you got punished and what was going on in that era. And I got punished a lot as a kid. You know, when you were, how did you guys, I never even asked Lee this. How did you actually get into the radio station back then? Because there were 2 ways. You could either go in through that side door, you had to go through the hotel, or there was that one that took you in that elevator that was on the, that second doorway by the barber. Did you have to go in by the barber as well? Do you remember when you went in to get to the station?
No, I just, they had a thing that would buzz you in, and you had to take the elevator up.
Right.
And so then when you got upstairs, you just buzzed in, and I think was there a camera back then? I think there might have been a camera, so you saw who was coming. In, but it was because it was on top of an old folks' home.
Yeah, I used to call it the Ark because it was like you took that elevator up, then you had to go up steps. There was a set of steps there, and there was like an arc at the top of a building, and it was the Oak Park Arms, which when we were younger, we used to call them. They were geriatric homes, right? That's what they used to call those. They were geriatric homes when we were little, but now they call them. What are they called now? I mean, they're all over the place. I forgot what they call them now, but for lack of a better term,
senior communities.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. But,
I should know.
Well, you're not that close. Look, I'm not too far behind you, okay? But back in the day here, I want to bring this into the screener because I went and grabbed some stuff and I thought you'd get a kick out of it, and I'm going to bring you in there. The ultra high frequencies, the Chicago party, right?
Yeah.
And those were filmed at the Copper Box, right?
Right. And it was broadcast. What were the 2 local stations? Either Channel 26 or Channel 32.
Yeah, I believe it was UHF, so I believe it was 26, correct? I believe it was 26.
Yeah.
And here, check this out. I think you'll get a kick out of this.
Oh, we had so much fun.
This is...
Yeah.
So this was the intro to the show. You can see it, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh. That brings back way too many memories.
Look at those special effects, huh?
I don't think I've ever seen this intro before.
Yeah. Now, do you recognize any of those people? Do you recognize anybody? Yeah, I'm going to let it roll. Let me kill the volume. I'll take the volume down. There's Magnum Force that performed. Yvonne Gage was also on the show. Yvonne worked with my mom, did jingle. Actually, she did background vocals on one of my mother's tracks a long time ago.
Now, that was one of the owners there.
Is that what that was? How about do you recall all of this? Because you were actually the MC. Weren't you were the MC of the show back then, weren't you?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
and you know what? For a Sunday night, you would not believe how packed it was. I mean, sometimes they'd have to turn people away
Mm-hmm.
because there'd be so many people. They would go to capacity, and yeah, I'd MC. But here's the thing: is that sometimes I'd have to wait 3 or 4 hours, and of course the drinks were on the house. So, after waiting 3 or 4 hours to go up on the stage, and it was like,
You were a little loose. You were a little looser. You were a little better. It was okay. You're a little looser with
oh
the
yeah,
crowd.
I was very loose after, after that. That was funny.
Now, back then, speaking of that show, we got Charlie Green, right? Do you recall any of these people? Charlie Green doing the bus stop? Look at it.
Yeah.
They filmed the bus stop video there.
Yeah.
There we go. And this is actually the live audio of his microphone that they did at the Copper Box back then.
Oh, yeah, and that was a hot dance, too,
Yeah.
back in the day. Back in the day, you had to know how to do a bus stop.
So what were some of your favorite places back then, Veronique, when you were still here in Chicago on the air at WBMX?
The places, Taste. I don't know if they're still around.
That was on 63rd and Low, right? Yeah, 63rd, yeah.
Wow, you got a good memory. Yeah, and I used to have to MC the male strip shows.
Mm-hmm.
And the Happy Medium was another one. As a matter of fact, at the Happy Medium, they had Count Basie, so I was able to take my parents.
Oh, yeah.
It was like the one time I said, "Oh man, my parents would love this."
Because they weren't going to be too happy going to that male stripper MC thing. Yeah, that's funny.
Well, let's see, Mothers. Do you remember Mothers?
Yeah, Mothers PS and Shenanigans were all owned by People Incorporated because a lot of us worked there at the time, so we either worked Mothers PS or Shenanigans.
Yeah.
Shenanigans you were forced to work at. If you wanted to work PS on a weekend night for your $9 an hour, you had to do a day shift at Shenanigans on a Saturday with all the college yuppie kids. That's how they worked it out. Yeah, that was Division Street back then. God.
Yeah, Russian Division. That was, I don't know, is it still a hot spot?
No, what happened is everything right around the 90s, everything started moving. Kaboom, Crystals, a lot of joints, they all went a little bit closer to the river over by the Sun Times building. You remember where the Sun Times was?
Oh,
over there by the river. And then, Halstead Street, when they did the warehouse again, the warehouse was on like Halstead and Randolph. So things moved, it's no longer, nothing's like it was back in the day club wise, even the rock clubs. It's all a club that somebody owns that a promoter says, hey, I can put people in your club. Oh, great. Thanks. And they change the theme every 7 days,
Yeah.
It's the clubs aren't like it used to be. Like there is no Copper Box 2 anymore. It would be there, but there'd be 5 different themes per week in there per promoter. Versus how it was when you had your regulars, your what we used to call the Cheers crowd, the same guys, same people who were there, Tuesday night, Thursday night, Saturday night. You don't have that kind of stuff anymore.
Was there a place called the Lighthouse? I met Tom Jones at some club, and I was like, really, he was a small guy, and I didn't. So I went up to him. Mm-hmm. And I said, "Are you Tom Jones?" And he had a big smile on his face. But, when you see people just on the screen or, you don't really know how tall they are. He was, he was just a little guy there having a good time. But I couldn't remember the name of the club.
It might have been the Limelight.
The Limelight. That's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, the Limelight here in Chicago, because they had the one in London, and then there were so many rumors as to what happened to the Limelight. It was really, Chicago's club scene. You know how our club scene was. It was smaller clubs. We weren't New York where it was a 40,000 square foot club. So they come into Chicago, doing the Limelight. They had London, I believe they had New York, and then there were rumors as to what happened to the whole company where, they got torched, they got this, they got that. But the Limelight here lasted a short time, and I don't know if you remember the song by Phyllis Nelson, "I Like You," was
Oh
used in the
yeah.
mixes all the time. Well, at that point, it was Shep Pettibone, Shep that did the remix. He did the same thing for Claudia Berry, who had a hit in '79 with Boogie Woogie Dancing Shoes, and she was another German disco, married a German disco producer like Donna Summer. And then in '85, she had a hit. It was called "Down and Counting" that Shep produced, and they had the record party for her at the Limelight. And when you walked into the Limelight, good luck having a conversation. It was all 100,000 watts of just barreling at you audio that would just give you a migraine. And then what happened is the Limelight became Excalibur, and which was still right off of Division Street, a little bit further. What is that? Yeah. So the Limelight, after the Limelight, a la carte entertainment took over, turned it into Excalibur, and they made it a very successful place for many years. And then that just closed a few years ago too, sadly.
Wow.
So did you now, can you see what I have on the screen here?
Oh yeah. You know what? That was a bio sketch, and who wrote that bio sketch? I don't know if you remember, going back in the day, Don Rashid.
I remember the name. He
used to do jazz, because when I first started at WBMX, he was on at nights doing jazz. And he wrote this bio sketch for me because I didn't know what to say. Well, he has a gift.
Now, did he do all of them? Because I've got Marco's, I've got Armando's, and Armando's was still being, the picture was really bad. And he said, "Yo, man, don't put that up, man. I'm still got to wait. You got to fix my hair and everything." Because Armando had to make sure he looked as dapper as humanly possible.
Yeah, that sounds like Armando.
Yeah, he's just like family, man. So you played basketball, huh?
Yeah, when I was in high school, I was in a lot of sports.
Yeah. Wow. See, I played basketball only because I used to read a dirty book on the bus, and I was motivational for the team because I had no business being on a basketball court whatsoever. I was very motivational though. And you went to the University of Guadalajara. Did you go for broadcasting on there? How'd you wind up down there?
I went to study there because I had dreams of being an interpreter.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had always taken Spanish in high school, and I was going to it used to be Loop Junior College.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's when I got into the Spanish, and this guy told me about a program that they had. And so I had to work that summer so I could pay for it.
Mm-hmm.
But a girlfriend of mine, we still stay in touch because that was 1976.
Mm-hmm.
And we still stay in touch to this day. And
wow, that's great.
But yeah, but I had always dreamed of being on radio because, those were all my idols back in Chicago. The people that were on the radio, they weren't just like disc jockeys; they were stars,
personalities. Definitely,
they were right. They were personalities, and.
So who'd you listen to back then? I mean, before you got on the air, who were you listening to? Which stations were you listening to in Chicago back then?
Well, of course, WVON.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to listen to Tom Joyner. But I'm trying to think, going way back, of course, Herb Kent.
Yeah.
The Cool Gent. And then there was a guy called Mr. V. Mm-hmm. And then there was another guy called Butterball.
Now, was that on VON or where were they?
I think it was VON. I think at the time when I was listening that we only had one urban station.
Mm-hmm.
So, and Butterball, he lived when we moved to the South Shore area, he had a house there, and we, everybody would point to it, and and as far as females. Mary D, the honeybee.
Yeah, when she was on WGN.
Before she was on WGN.
So you were listening to her, before she made it over to the TV, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. And she also became a friend. And her and Yvonne Daniels.
Mm. Another great talent.
And when I got to meet Yvonne Daniels, I was so nervous. Like here I am. I had just come from Rockford, Illinois, and then to Kalamazoo, Michigan, and then bam, I'm back home in Chicago.
Now, did you do an air check? How did it work for you? Did you do the air check and send it to Chicago? How'd that work for you?
It was strange because I got a phone call. I left a message saying what I had done, and I used to do character voices. So, and I used to love being creative with commercials, and so I went for the interview. The guy played my air check. He says, "I don't believe you can speak Spanish." I said, so they had at WBMX, they had an AM station that did a Spanish program, and they did a program in Polish.
Yeah, it was WOPA, I think, WOPA 1490. Yeah.
Right. And so what the guy had me do, Jim Maddox was his name. He was from California. That was the first person that hired me. He had me do a show in Spanish to prove that I could speak Spanish.
Really?
So, and what he had me do was he put me in the studio and just had me do another air check. Like the air check I brought wasn't good enough. He wanted to make sure.
Really?
So I had to do like a 5-minute show. So what happened was I go back to Calumet City. That's where my parents were living. That's like a 45-minute drive. And the guy called me. He said, "Can you come back to the radio station?" And I said, "Oh, man, I don't know. I was tired." And so then my heart started pumping. And I said, "I think I got the job." I said, as soon as I got home, the phone rang. And he called me back in. And and that's where all of us started at the same time, like Lee, Doug, Marco. Richard Steele was already there.
Yeah, the real Richard Steele.
The real deal.
Yeah.
And I used to listen to him when I was growing up.
Wow. Did you have to go to, you went to broadcast, you had to get a license too. Remember the license? You had to have your card, your FCC card back then?
You had to have your FCC license with third-class endorsement.
Third-class endorsements, yep. Yeah.
I failed the first time.
Really?
And I was in Rockford at the time, so I had to come back to Chicago and retake the test. But the chief engineer that I worked with, he was just so patient with me because I didn't understand like a lot of this technological stuff. Well, I still don't.
Well, back then, yeah.
And the thing is, back in the day at the radio station in Rockford, it was built from the ground up. It was in a shopping mall. And the call letters were WYBR. YBR stood for Yellow Brick Road. And I'd be on the air sometimes by myself at night, and I'd say, "Our signal is going. What do I do?" Chief engineer couldn't get a hold of him. He says, "Just go out to the transmitter and give it a couple of kicks. It'll come back on."
Yeah, very, very technological, very deep. Wow. And you had to do transmitter readings back then too, didn't you? I know.
That's
I did.
right.
You had to read that transmitter and
you had to sign on and off that log because if you didn't, you could be penalized by the FCC. And when I became operations director, people thought I was crazy. The guys weren't signing on and off the logs. So finally I told my boss, I said, "I'm not getting any cooperation." But I was young. I was a woman. And they were all guys, and they thought it was a big joke until my boss told me, he said, "Well, every time they don't sign on or off, just take $25 out of their paycheck." And that was back in the 70s.
That was half a check.
So, yeah. So they, when that happened, money talks.
Yeah.
When we start taking that money out of their account, they signed on and off real good. They were,
We're talking with Veronique, who was at WBMX, other radio stations as well across the country. And this is the Back in the Day show here. I'm Sal Amato, brought to you by DigitalSaviorChicago.com. Look at that. I rolled right into it as if I have a clock in everything. We're going to go to some of the posts here because I think you'll get a kick out of some of these posts, Veronique. I want to see what memories they bring back. We're going to we'll start out on the WBMX group. the WBMX group here on Facebook, and it's on MeWe as well.
Holy cow.
Look at somebody actually took the time to type it. Those were the words. That was it. That's what started House. That was it. In the beginning, there was Jack. And it's amazing how many people can recite these words and are lucky they can remember how to spell their own name. And, now if you weren't listening, did you listen to anything that would surprise somebody like back in the day? Yeah, you're working at an R&B station, and it was the variety on the station was great compared to today's radio. What was playing on BMX? I mean, there was a wide variety of music. What else would you listen to back then? Even still to this day.
Don't tell anybody, but I used to listen to Steve Dahl and Gary Meyer.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah. Because I like classic rock. I like a lot of music.
So who were some of your favorite rock bands back then?
The Eagles.
Mm-hmm.
The Eagles. Oh gosh. The Beatles, Simon and Garfunkel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Because of so many things, I would listen. I never really cared for much of it because it was so commonplace for me. I was always looking for I was looking for the Isley Brothers, Parliament. I was looking for the Five Stair Steps, Staple Singers. I was looking for things that you really couldn't get a lot of because to me, everything else was like old hat. It's like, yeah, okay, I've heard Zeppelin. I've heard Elvin Bishop. I can only handle so much Gordon Lightfoot. Please shoot me if I hear another Barry Manilow song.
Oh, gosh.
Maria Muldaur, no thank you. I'm not into it.
With the Edmund Fitzgerald, because the radio station I work for, the YBR, the Yellow Brick Road, they played CHR, classic hit radio. So that's what I got. But they also, by cable, had WBMX, and I don't know if they had WGCI then or not.
Mm-hmm. Oh, they had it on cable, so they had the audio running on cable channel?
Yes. Yeah.
Wow, think about that.
Rockford. And when we went to Rockford, Illinois, from WBMX, we did some kind, I think Frankie Beverly and Mays was playing there at some place, and I can't remember the guy's name who I went with, but he was also a disc jockey, on-air personality, whatever. They were, you would have thought Diana Ross and Lionel Richie had walked to the room or something.
Wow.
They were like, they were asking for autographs and everything. It was surreal.
That's when you're reaching people too. I mean, you really, that's when it hits you. Go, wow.
Yeah.
There's more than listening. It's sometimes you don't realize till like when you would go do parties or even those old Rainbow Beach parties, and there's 70,000 people on the beach and you're looking and go, holy shit, how many people listen to this station?
Right. And before the Hot Mix 5, we used to do something it was either Friday or Saturday nights called Double Shots.
Mm-hmm.
So we'd have like the sound effects of like a bar in the background, with ice cubes clicking in the glass, and we called it Club 1027, and you could call in and order up your double shot. Like I want a double shot of Marvin Gaye.
Mm-hmm.
The problem with that is that, say for example, if you have somebody that calls up and wants a double shot of Isaac Hayes, if they're not an Isaac Hayes lover, they're not going to sit there for 2 songs. They're going to switch the station,
Well, yeah, unless you were an Isaac Hayes fan and you knew there was more to it than Shaft and a few more kisses to go, and you're on the radio station, there's only so many things you can play.
Right.
What was it? The Black Moses album. I think there was a song in there that was like 15 minutes long. And I was thinking to myself, what the hell did he do? Did he sit in the studio with the Allman Brothers? Because on the Eat a Peach album, that whole one side of the Allman Brothers album is like 31 minutes long of one song.
I loved it because you could go to the bathroom, you could get something to eat while that song was on. So there
you could go to Robinson's or Parky's too.
I think I did make a run one time and prayed the song wouldn't skip because it was on vinyl.
Oh, that's right before the carts. You were running vinyl.
Yeah, and I think who was it? It was George Benson or somebody, and the song was like 9-10 minutes long. I said, "Oh, shoot, I could make it to the store and back by then." And I just prayed that it didn't skip, because if it did, I would have been in a lot of trouble.
That would have probably been the Weekend in L.A. album. Would have probably been on Broadway, because that was about the album version was about 9 minutes long.
Yeah, and what was the name of that song that Isaac Hayes did? That it was funny. It was about him and his woman, and his woman, I guess, was on crack. And right in the middle of the song, he goes, "Hey, baby, what happened to that Rolex watch I bought you? Or what happened to that diamond ring I gave you?"
Let me see here. Wait a minute here. Oh God, took a quick.
I can't see what you're seeing.
No, I'm trying to pull up the lyrics here, because that I don't remember. You got me on that one. I now it's going to drive me nuts, and I'm going to have to go looking for it when we're done today, and then I'll have the answer.
Oh, what is the name of that song? It was so funny because it was like everything he had given this woman, she had like sold it for her drugs.
Oh, sounds depressing as hell.
And it's but hey, but you know what? The beat was really good.
I'll dig it up. I will definitely dig it up. But we were
by
talking
Isaac Hayes.
Isaac Hayes. I'll because I probably you can't see, but on the wall that's in front of like the camera, you see me here, but on that wall, it's just lined with CDs for all the different formats that I've had to program through the years. So I'm sure I am sure I have it on the wall here somewhere. When we were talking about Parky's, where you at? You missed the French fries, right?
Oh gosh, yeah.
Yeah, Parky's had some good fries, boy, and that was right down the block from the radio station at that time. That one was on Madison and Harlem.
Yeah, but you know what? Here's the thing. Now the bag would be all greasy and everything, but I'd come back to the station, and they always put it in a brown paper bag. And I'm like, oh, man, people are going to think I went to the liquor store. And, I'm coming back in with boo. I'm like, it's Parky's. It's Parky's fries.
Though, when French fries eat their way through a bag, that's some good eating right there. When they're that good, that's some good eating. They put a lot of love and a lot of oil into those French fries. There ain't nothing healthy about them.
Yeah, but they were hand cut.
Oh, remember? Yeah. We peel our own. Yeah. Now, do you remember Cones? Remember when Cones was on North in Austin over there? Everybody used to get their jeans there. It was on North Avenue in Austin. There was a joint called Cones. I think so. And diagonal kitty corner, there was a joint called Gus's. It was a 24-hour greasy spoon. Okay,
I remember Gus's.
And they had that sign, "We doze but never close." And it was one of the, it was either that. There were a couple of greasy. One of the posts in the last week here was not the hot dog thing. One of the posts was who had the best late night grub.
Oh, hands down, White Castle on 79th and Stony Island.
So you were a White Castle fan back in the day, huh?
Oh gosh, yeah.
Do they have them now by you? You got Checkers.
No, they have it in a box in the freezer section of the grocery store.
Yeah, I saw that White Castle's in the grocery stores now.
It's not the same.
I would assume not. You have to be in the right frame of mind too at 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock in the morning to really appreciate White Castle the way you did back in the day.
And you know what? There was another place on the west side, and I would go there at 4 o'clock in the morning by myself, and it was called, I think it was called Rib Supreme. And they had all of their ribs were on the floor on like crates, but they were on the floor. And every now and then you might see a bug or two, but it was 4 o'clock in the morning, you'd been partying. It was like, but they had the best.
And at 4 in the morning, you're willing to share, so you didn't mind the bug there. You're willing to open up your table to anybody at 4 in the morning. Where was that at? Where was that at?
Rib Supreme, right? All I'd have to do is go. Not Harlem. I just go to the west side from Oak Park, from where the radio station was.
Because over in Forest Park, there was a joint. There was a great deli and very few people remember it. It was on Madison. It was called the West End Meat Market.
Oh yeah, I remember.
And oh my God, they had a phenomenal. I mean, I always said back then, if I'm going to go, I want to go face first, right in that sandwich. They had such a great sandwich. There was a lot of good joints, especially up and down Madison over there by the station, because Forest Park, that was like a party hangout over there back in the day.
Yep.
From Harlem to like Des Plaines Avenue. There were a lot of bars in that area.
Yeah, there was a place on Des Plaines Avenue and oh gosh, Madison or Harlem, I can't think. But they were open like 24/7. And I can't think of the name, but they also served booze. And it was a restaurant. It was on Des Plaines and what am I thinking of? Madison?
There was a corner joint diagonal from the bank on Des Plaines Avenue at Madison. There was a liquor store next to that.
Yeah.
There was wow, that was a while ago.
Yeah.
Hi, would you like a fifth with your French toast? Sure,
yeah.
Sounds great. Thank you, yummy. I'll use that instead of syrup. Now on the screen, can you see what's on? You can see what's on the screen, right? See, there's
is that Barney Miller?
Yeah. Now there's a guy in the group in the back in the day group. He does pencil stuff. He did all that with pencil.
Wow.
Isn't it? His name is Ray.
That is amazing.
Yeah, Ray Cerna. Look at that. Isn't that great?
You're kidding me. He did all of that with wow.
Yeah, and he's posted a couple of them in the group. And
wow.
I mean,
what a gift.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Hey, my 8th grade teacher is listening. Hello, Mr. Still a lot of bars on Madison. Yes, there are. Yeah, but this guy here does all these drawings, and
oh, that's fabulous.
Yeah, and wow. And now that he's bringing up, let me go to the Beats website for a minute, real quick here. What we did is, there's TV shows on the Beats website too. So if you don't remember the pilot episode, there's the pilot episode right there. It'll come right up on the screen for you. So that's the actual pilot episode right there.
You've got how many different groups going? Okay, you've got like the WBM. I mean, I saw them all at the beginning, but
yeah, we've got the and they're on multiple platforms.
How do you manage that, Sal?
About as easy as once you figured out your board at BMX, and once you figured out the clock, once you figure it out, I just figured it out on my own. It was the easiest way to figure it out. Okay, I got 15 different social networks, 8 different platforms.
Wow.
Find the right thing to plug them in so you can reach as many people as you want. I'm working on a program called the In Channel right now that's going to allow interactivity, whether you're on Roku, Apple, or cable. That's a project that I'm working on with some people. Because it's always been, how do you reach people and and then when you reach them, do you have something that's interesting or engaging enough for them to want to come back?
Yeah. And you're kind of a star in your own right. You've been on Chicago. Was it Chicago Fire, Chicago Med?
Yeah.
I saw one of them. And you were good.
Oh, thank you. My a very good friend of mine says it's not even acting. He says you're miserable like that all the time. I said, well, Charlie Sheen wasn't acting. You ain't talking down to him. Charlie Sheen wasn't acting either. He was just being himself for 10 years on 2.5 Men. It didn't seem to bother anybody,
Right.
And I'm really not like that. I'm a very sociable, personable, open, fun guy. I can play that character, but it's not me. It's not me.
But hey, it's a good gift to have,
Yeah, I'm fortunate in that aspect. I'd like to do more, and I hope to do more. But at this point, I'm not chasing it anymore, Veronique. You know what I mean? I don't chase it. I got a lot of projects that I'm working on, and I'm very happy. And some of them work, some of them don't. If I had a penny for every failure, I'd be a millionaire. But just you don't throw in the towel.
Right.
You don't.
Exactly.
Some stuff works, some stuff don't. What are you gonna do? Keep on going till you find the one that gets you to either Portugal or Tahiti for life, and then have everything drop shipped. Then have Lou Malnati's and the Chicago hot dog sent to Tahiti. Sure, it'll cost $800, but you'll be aces with everybody down there.
Yeah, and I miss the Chicago hot dog. So, I mean, there's a place here called Ray Ray's. So they used to be like on the west side of Chicago. Well, they've got a little spot here now. And it's, he didn't know what I was asking when I asked if he had an all-beef Vienna hot dog.
Mm-hmm.
Now, anybody from Chicago, you know what a Vienna all-beef hot dog is.
Right.
This guy didn't know. And he got indignant with my sister, and
over a hot dog.
Over a hot dog, and then he says because she questioned him, and I guess she questioned his knowledge of Chicago hot dogs. So I don't know. It was just one of those kind of funny moments because that's where I used to. Oh, we traveled to East Chicago, South Chicago. And, you have like little booths, little houses where there may be like 10 people working, and, and they were the best hot dogs and fries outside of Marky's.
Yeah, that's why I always said the hot dog stand. It was a little joint you went to, you ordered hot dogs, you stood and you left. And one of the posts, I think this was from yesterday, there's the Chicago hot dog right on the screen.
There it is. Oh, gosh, does that look good? Oh, my gosh.
Isn't it? Now, please, you don't do ketchup on your dog, right?
No.
Good for you. Good answer.
I don't know.
I'll tell you a funny story. First, I was flying back and forth from Chicago to Arizona, and this is when Southwest first came along, Southwest Airlines. So I was like, wow, $96 round trip. I got to take this. This is when Midway was still the size of my bathroom. It was a tiny little airport. You walked up, you got your ticket, you walked in the back, and right up the plane stairs you went. So I didn't think about nothing. I get on the airplane. We fly to St. Joseph's, Missouri, and we're landing. I'm like, wow, that's a quick trip. No. It's not a nonstop. I said, what do you mean it's not a nonstop? So if we go to St. Joe's, Missouri, back to Nashville. So now I'm flying from Chicago, St. Joe's, Nashville. I was like, Jesus, I am starving. So I see a hot dog joint, and okay, let me get a dog with everything on it. They look at me like, well, I said, we have a dog with everything on it. Give me mustard and sauerkraut. I said, well, what is this? What is well, you wanted everything. I said, no, mustard, relish. I had no idea that nobody ate hot dogs the way we did. I thought it was like universal. It's 1985, about 86. I figured it was universal the way you ate a hot dog like this in Chicago.
Oh, yeah.
Now, they told me, oh, no, the condiments or whatever. They point me to a thing with like little plastic baggies. I said, whoa, I don't eat like that, man. Just give me my money back. And then from Nashville, we had to fly to Arizona. It took me like 11 hours at Arizona. I was so crabby from that miserable experience in Nashville, and I wound up at Jack in the Box and I had like 15 monster tacos when I got there in Arizona. But these are the hot dogs. This is the way to go here. You do sport peppers? Are you a big sport pepper fan?
Oh, yeah.
Really? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I can't do them. Even the tomato. Sometimes too much of those healthy veggie things get to me. I just like the dog with a little mustard and some onion. But once you start throwing all that, it's got to have celery salt, though. You got to have a little celery salt on there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's funny when you mentioned tomato because I know this guy. He's like a nephew of Al Capone.
Mm-hmm.
And he used to call all of us girls, he used to call us tomatoes. And I never got it. I just never got it. And one time I went into, this is embarrassing. I went into an Italian restaurant in Chicago. I can't remember the name of it. And I ordered a Italian beef sandwich. And then I asked if I could get some mayonnaise. Oh. Never do that. No.
That's like calling bingo and you don't have bingo. You're done for. It's over. They will. You ever call bingo and not have bingo when you're in a bingo hall? Let me tell you, they will beat your ass. If they can't, well, they will run you over. Don't ever call bingo and not have it. You asked for mayonnaise on a beef sandwich. What am I going to do?
You know what? I learned my lesson early. I said, "Oh my gosh, you should have seen the people staring at me. Oh my gosh."
Well, yeah, that's literally blasphemy. Shame on you. Well, you learned your lesson, though, right? Don't ever.
I know.
Do it in private, not in public. It's not.
Yeah. Never again.
Oh my God, mayo on a beef. I
felt like I had sinned. I really felt like I had, I'm a good Catholic girl, went to all Holy Angels, St. Joachim, Our Lady of Peace, all Catholic schools. I felt like I had sinned because I asked for mayonnaise.
Yeah, that's bad. I can't even think of the equivalent of that, but that's a topper. That's okay. But I have a friend of mine who puts mayo on his French fries and he mixes it with ketchup. I'm like, you alien, get away! I can't even be at the table with him. It's embarrassing. Mayo on French fries with ketchup. He says, "Oh, that's the way they do it in France." I said, "Well, I'm on the south side of Chicago. What do I give a shit about what they do in France? I mean, eat like a normal person. It's unacceptable. Unacceptable."
And what about the hamburger Hamlet? Is that still around?
Oh God, I think that was a Let Us Entertain You joint. They were on Walton, right? That was the original.
Yeah.
They had a good burger. I don't know if they're still around anymore, but man, they had a good burger. Yeah,
it was great. I'm trying to see everything you're.
Look at this here. Look at those outfits.
Oh my gosh!
Wow. Look at the price on that, $14.95. Like Rodney said, you buy that, I bet you get a free bowl of soup. Remember when Mickey used to use Rodney Dangerfield in all of his drops?
Oh yeah. I'll tell you a secret, but don't tell anybody.
Okay.
Mickey hit on me one time. Or tried
Mickey out. I refuse to believe that Mickey would have ever hit on a woman. Ever.
No, because we were talking about Rodney Dangerfield. Mm-hmm. He had been out with Rodney Dangerfield. Mm-hmm. And so I asked how he was. I said, is he really, funny in real life? And so he was telling me about him. And we went to an after your party type eat place. And he made a move on me. And I said, oh my gosh. I don't know if I was with somebody else, but it was, nothing happened. We were both, I'm talking 30 years ago?
No, probably closer to 40. Thinking about, I know, not to make either one of us feel old, but yeah, probably closer to 40.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, Mickey made a move on me. I was like, oh, wow.
What a rat. Wait till I talk. Wait till I get a hold of him. He just got married. Mickey just got married.
Did he really? Yeah. After all these years.
Yeah, he found somebody that likes him. That's good. When we used to work together at Dior's, and then I would bring Mickey and Kenny in occasionally at a club I was at called the Cottage. And my God, the 80s, they talk about the roaring 20s, the roaring 80s. God, those were some good times. Just as wild and loose as you can possibly imagine.
Oh, yeah. And we had, we went through the disco era, the Motown era, so many different eras. The rap, when rap first started, I used to do on my show, I don't know if Lee was program director or not, but I did a soap opera rap because I was on from 10 middays, 10 to 2. Mm-hmm. And I had this guy do raps for me. I'd tell him what was going on in the soap operas, and a lot of people were at work. And so that way I let them know through a rap, and this is about the time Curtis Blow and Grandmaster Flash came on the scene. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, Curtis, let's see, 80. The Breaks was 80. Well, you remember Blowfly, right?
Who?
Blowfly. Remember Blowfly?
No.
Oh, my God. You got to dig up. You can't even play that stuff on the air. But Blowfly was signed to TK, which was that disco label out of Hialeah. And he had a song called Rap Dirty. And his album was just cover versions, all really dirty versions of disco records. And that was about 78. I want to say Blowfly was like 78. And then Curtis Blow came along. Well, you had Casper the Groovy Ghost, which was actually a rap record done by guys in Chicago that got signed to AVI. We have that in the WBMX group. If you scroll down, you'll find it. But that was from 78. And then once Curtis Blow got hot in the 80s.
And then it was the Sugar Hill Gang.
Sugar Hill Gang was 79. And they were really the first ones to cross over with the mainstream success that they had.
Yeah.
And then as you got into the 80s with Houdini and Stetsasonic and, remember, I put this up today in the Back in the Day group. Remember Rappin' Duke? Remember Rappin' Duke?
Yeah.
I thought it was John Wayne. Horrible song. Horrible
song.
But I found myself loving Heavy D. His first video was hilarious. He did a cover of Mr. Big Stuff. And he brought it. And he brought his grandpa. Now, did you ever get a chance to see the videos back then? Even I know you were playing, but did you ever get a chance? Do you recall any of the videos from the songs, or did you never really get a chance to see any of the videos?
Oh yeah, I did. I remember when MTV first started,
which was on this day 40 years ago today. Believe it or not, to the day. I remember
it was. I was so mesmerized. Just seeing the only one they didn't have a variety at first, but they had one with Pat Benatar that I loved.
Was it Hit Me With Your Best Shot? Was this the video Killed the Radio Star was the first video they played. Then they played Pat Benatar's was it Treat Me Right?
No, Your Love Is Like
Heartbreaker.
Was that it?
Yeah, Heartbreaker. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, here, before we get to Heartbreaker, I was going to show you this because you were talking about soap operas and talk about going back. Now, in 81, General Hospital, that was it. I mean, even guys, I was like, shut up. General Hospital's on. I got to see what's going on. The Ice, what I had to worry about, I was wondering about the Ice Princess, Scorpio, and General Hospital was so hot that there was a rap, and MCA had the rap. MCA signed the record. General Hospital was the Afternoon Delights. Let me find this.
My girlfriend was on General Hospital.
Was she really?
And I'm trying to think of the character she played.
Did she?
But they got a lot of hate mail. There was was it General Hospital? They had an interracial couple. And they got so much hate mail that they had to break up the couple on the show.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, what show was it? General Hospital, All My Children. It was one of those. Yeah.
Because there was General. It was here in Chicago in the market. It was It was Ryan. It was Ryan's Hope first, which was like a half hour. Then it was All My Children. Then it was One Life to Live. Then it was General Hospital on ABC. And wow, just amazing, the stupidity.
I mean, yeah. But
sorry, go ahead.
I think they had to, I don't know if they killed off one of the characters, but then he went to another show, Peter Bergman. He's on All My Children now.
Mm-hmm.
Not Young and the Restless, I'm sorry.
Really? It's amazing.
And I don't even watch them I haven't watched them in years, but it's kind of funny to keep up every now and then.
And you know what a grueling schedule that is? To do a TV show 5 days a week, if you're a star, you're working anywhere from 12 to 18 hours a day. Minimum 5 days a week. And there were times like when I was on a set, there were times we did 16, 17-hour days.
Wow.
And you can't have anything else going on, because not only do you have to remember your positioning, your dialogue, your action, your reaction, you have to have all that, and it's just got to come naturally. It just can't be like you're reading. And especially when I was on a set like for the Untouchables, when we were doing the Untouchables, the TV show, mm-hmm. It was amazing.
Wait, now with Robert Stack.
No, God, not that old. No. William Forsythe. Who else was on the
Okay.
show? Tom Amandus, who was a Chicago actor. Paramount syndicated that. It lasted about 3 seasons tops, I think. But it was,
I remember.
yeah, and what's his name? The guy who was in Indiana Jones. Wonderful, jolly guy. John Rhys Davies. Got a chance to work with him. Big jolly guy, big accent, and a lot of fun. But when you're working those things, even the soap operas, they're working long hours and long shifts, and it takes a day. People say, "Why would you leave such a gig? You got it made." Man, you don't know what that schedule's like, and you got no life. You really have no life when you're working a show like that. You don't. So I get it to some degree. People say, "How could Charlie Sheen want to leave 2.5 Men? He's making 1.8 million, a week."
Right.
Well, he wasn't in the right frame of mind, so that's going to help. That's going to hurt you. And then secondly, it's a grueling schedule. It really is. It's a grueling schedule.
I believe it.
Yeah.
Do you remember Peeble Bryson and Angela Bofield?
Yeah, Angela's from here, and people. Yeah.
They were recording a song, and we were in the audience. They wanted to have a live audience while they were recording. We had to be real quiet, and it was like. It would sound so beautiful, and the director, whoever, would say, "Cut, start it again."
It's called Back to One.
I'm like, holy cow! He must have said that like so many times, and people were having to use the bathroom, and they're like, "Nope, cut."
It's a nightmare.
And another time, they'd have to do it sometimes like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times.
Was it for a music video or was it for a show?
It was for it was for an album they were doing together.
Jeez, that's got to be a nightmare.
Yeah.
Because especially when you do a take or you do a cut and you're like, "Oh, that felt good." No, we heard somebody burp. Oh my God. Yeah, again, we got to do the whole damn scene again. Everything has got to go off without a hitch, and that's why I
was at Goodman School of Drama, right behind. At the time, it was right behind the Art Institute. So that was my second year in college, and we would have like school in the daytime, and then we'd have a little break, and then at night we have rehearsal. So it was like I was there all the time.
Now, did you like theater? Were you a big theater fan?
Oh yeah.
Were you? Yeah.
I still am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was your favorite? Which one out of what would you say up there for you play wise is one of your favorites for plays?
You know what? One of the ones, and I happen to see it here in little old Kalamazoo, was Tyler Perry's "I Can Do Bad All by Myself."
Wow.
That was pretty good. But then there was like Cats and the big one. I can't think. It was about a choreographer. It was real popular years ago.
Jazz singer.
And all that jazz.
All that jazz, yeah.
And all that jazz. That
was a great soundtrack too. The sound of the musical score was beautiful for them.
Oh yeah.
Phenomenal, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, when we were talking about soaps, I'm going to show you this here. You'll get a kick out of this. This was a huge record, and even on the radio back then, BMX, GCI, even the pop stations were playing this because the soap was so popular. Here, check this out. "90-minute intro."
Hey. I love it because it gave you remember pick yourself up and get yourself ready. Wave your arms, let me hear you yell. We're gonna rap about General Hospital.
Now they talk about this is when Rick Springfield was on the show. So they talk about Noah Drake, what's her name? Emma Samms. There's so many. They talk about the whole summer like this.
Frank Smith's mom used to hang around. No one could prove that he was a crook till Luke stole his little black book.
Luke Perry.
Yeah.
I mean, not Luke Perry.
So Luke and Laura had to hit the road. Yeah. They had to find the left-handed boy. Watch their step. They had to be coy.
Now, do you remember that? You remember the General Hospital rap?
No.
No, oh my God, it was huge at that time. It was like Remember Stars on 54 or Stars on 45? Remember that medley? It was like that same era. Stars on 45 was a bunch. It was like the craze. It's literally what kicked off Hooked on Swing. Remember the Hooked on Swing medleys?
Oh yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and Stars on 45 took a bunch of Beatles songs. This song, that song was huge, like 80, 81. And this was hot right around that same time. Everywhere you went, that's all anybody talked about was the General Hospital rap.
Oh yeah.
It was the whole story of Luke, Laura, Scorpio, Ice Princess, blah blah blah. Oh my God, that was my whole summer. That was the whole year.
That must have been where we got the idea from to do that middays, because we did like Young and the Restless, General Hospital, All My Children.
It very well may have been, for sure, because Tom,
I forgot about that.
Yeah, that's like I said. We're here to help you remember it all. Let's see, where are we going back here? Oh, yeah, here. How about roller derby? Big post. This was a huge post. A lot of it. Do you watch roller derby?
Oh yeah. Oh, don't tell anybody, but yes, I did. I loved it. And there was this one. She was big and blonde, and she'd push everybody out of the way, and I just loved her, and I can't think of her name.
There were blockers and there were jammers, and that was it. You were either a blocker or a jammer back then.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was very popular.
When we talked, I had asked you, did you remember Svengoolie?
Yeah.
Svengoolie comes on every Saturday night here.
Yeah, that's God, is it Rich Causes?
Yeah,
yeah.
He's now selling like T-shirts and all kinds of. I couldn't believe it because I hadn't seen that show since.
Yeah.
I don't want to say 40, maybe it was 40 years ago on local channels.
Right. Even in the 70s. I mean, Svengoolie 70s, 80s. It was great stuff. That and Creature Features.
And do you remember the show called Red Hot and Blues?
No.
Oh, that's probably way before your time. That was back in the 60s. Red Hot and Blues. It was before Soul Train.
Okay.
And they had it at a club, and it was like a sleazy nightclub in Chicago.
Red Hot and Blues.
The Red Hot and Blues show, and I can't think of the MC's name, but he would have these girls. He would have these girls all in, kind of sexy attire, and he'd go, "Yeah, come on down." And a lot of times he would be kind of disheveled. Like his tie would be like over on the
like he was entertaining some people before he went on the air.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Okay.
That was it. And I said, man, this guy is like, what's going on? We were kids, but my sister and I loved it.
Well, here, I think I just found it. Take a look at your screen. You can see that, right?
Okay. It says, that is like way too small for me.
Is it? It's Big Bill Hill.
Bill Hill, yes.
Yep. So it was Big Bill Hill who was the host on CIU.
What club? They say the name of the club.
Let's see. Broadcasting direct from the parking lot of Whoopi's Drive-In on Roosevelt Road. Wow. There was another show that was from Chicago too. It was the Morris B. Sachs Amateur Hour. But that was, I think,
I remember that.
50s to early 60s when VJ was still around and chess. This thing here, that's great.
Soul Train even started in Chicago.
Yeah, it was at the top of Board of Trade.
That's right.
Yep. And it's funny when I had met him. I met Don Cornelius at it was a I want to say it was a benefit. And, oh my God, I am never enamored with anybody. I'm never impressed. Not that I'm impressed with what people accomplish, but I'm not starstruck by anybody.
Right.
Ever. Never have been, never will be. But I was just amazed, and I kept it to myself about what he had accomplished and how it just fell in his lap. And then when I watched his interview, I watched an interview years later, about how he talked about WCIU. Just said, "Okay, yeah, you want to do it? Sure, here, show's yours." And he was thinking they were going to want the show, and they were just going to pay him to host it. They gave him the whole show. They do what you want. Yeah, have fun, knock yourself out.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the kind of break that you got more than one guardian angel. When you catch a break like that in life, somebody up there likes you, man, because he didn't have to sign off ownership on nothing. And there's a part in his documentary, Veronique, it's so funny. He's talking about James Brown comes on the set when they make it out to L.A. So James Brown, they're walking through the set, and he's trying to get James to come on the show because he was having a hard time getting people to come on the show. Other than Curtis Mayfield, Curtis was always there for him. Tyrone was always there for him. Staple singers were always there for him. But when he got out to LA, he needed to get Gladys Knight to solidify and lock down the seriousness of getting the syndication in the first 7, 8, 9, 10 markets that it got syndicated in. So James Brown's on the set with him, and they're walking through, and he says, "Who are you with, brother?" And Don Cornelius looks at him and goes, "Nobody." No, come on, man. Who are you with? Because James Brown did not believe that he owned all of that, which was a major production.
Oh, yeah.
Soul Train was a major, in that era, 71, 72, to have that, the only other thing that had that kind of production was American Bandstand.
American Bandstand with Dick Clark, yeah.
Yeah, that was it. And James Brown just didn't. But watching Don Cornelius tell the story is just priceless. Actually, on the on the Beats website, we got a bunch of the old episodes from back in the day. We did a 48-year anniversary thing a couple of years ago. I think I've got the interview. Let me see. So if you ever want to, here's the hippest trip in America. It's right here. It's you can see that on the screen, right?
Oh yeah, yeah,
yeah. So
the hippest trip in America.
Yeah, it's a great documentary, and then we've got a bunch of episodes that are in other spots. You just search Soul Train. Search the keyword Soul Train on thebeatchicago.com.
But boy, I tell you, had some people that could really dance on that show.
Oh, yeah, and from what Jody Watley said, the competition when the cameras went on was fierce.
Oh yeah, yeah.
What well, see, now you remember here in Chicago, Soul Train was 2:00 in the afternoon on Saturdays. Yeah, other markets it was different, but here in Chicago, 2:00 Saturday afternoon. That was it. Me, my uncles, my father are like, yeah, that's great. Wow, look at it. And then when they did the live, they actually did live performances, because remember, most of the Soul Train stuff was lip synced early on, but there was a year or two where Don Cornelius wanted to step up the game, so they did live. And Barry White brings like a 60-piece orchestra to do the Love Unlimited orchestra. And they sounded great live too, just like the Midnight Special. Remember, that was all live too.
Yeah,
Midnight Special. Majority of the acts were live back then.
Okay, I got one for you, Sal.
All right.
Before Barry White, and he's a Chicago guy. Before Barry White, who had that nice, low, sexy voice and did a lot of songs that were really great? He's from Chicago. Da 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 da.
Are you talking 60s?
70s.
From Chicago with a deep voice.
Yeah, and he sang a lot of love songs.
Well, it definitely wasn't Danny Johnson from the Shy-Lights.
Lou Rawls.
Oh, Lou Rawls. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Now here's something for you. Did you ever get a chance? Did you ever get a chance to see him or hang out with him?
With Lou Rawls?
Yeah.
No.
He never. See, let me tell you, he did such great stuff. But even when he was doing more of the jazz-oriented stuff in the 60s,
yeah.
I mean, Natural Man was a great record from 72.
Right.
That was a great record. But once he got to Philly International and Gamble and Huff got a hold of him and they molded him into a different kind of, singer. My uncle used to sell him jewelry.
Really?
Yes. So when my uncle would say, he used to sell the Cincinnati Reds their jewelry, and a lot of the Bulls. We used to go, the Bulls used to well, I guess train, practice. Do you remember Angel Guardian was a park here in Chicago? I don't know if you remember Angel Guardian. It was on the north side.
Not really.
Well, the Bulls used to practice there. And my uncle would say, we're going to Bob Butterbean. Remember the Bulls? Butterbean Love, Norm Vandalier. So he was selling jewelry. So he's like, oh, cool. Yeah, I'll go. But when he said he was going to meet Lou Rawls to sell loose and jewelry, I said, oh, I'm with you. I'm there. Let's go. I couldn't wait to get on the road with him to sell Lou Rawls jewelry. But yeah, we did a big feature on Lou Rawls on the beat too. I mean,
okay. Well, I'm going to have to start paying more attention.
I mean, you've got, I'm like doing a little bit of the history, link to more history. There's like 30 videos of him here on this. You can see there's 30 different videos. But oh, what a voice, man! And
I've got a couple of what do you call them? Oh God, not 8 tracks. Oh my gosh. What am I thinking of? VHS.
Uh-huh.
You do that too. Like, say, if I wanted to put that on a CD, a DVD, you can do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and here's the deal with Digital Saviors Chicago, which is one of the sponsors and is one of our operations, one of our companies here. Now you have VHS, Veronique, and this is what I tell a lot of people when they're getting their stuff transferred, whether it's 8mm film, the old film reels from way back in the day. No matter what it is. Not only do you want it on DVD, you may want to consider the video file for yourself as well. And I'll tell you why. We can upload the video file to either YouTube, wherever you want it to go. It stays. And then what happens is it stays unlisted. We don't list the video. We have hundreds of videos up on our page of clients, because what that does is we say, okay, here's the link. The only people who can access that link are those that you send it to. So if you got a cousin or a friend in in Miami, or I don't care if they're in Dusseldorf, Germany, we upload it to YouTube. It's unlisted. We send you the link. Say, okay, you can share it with anybody you want to see that video. So now, rather than you have to try and upload this massive file to your friends, it's there for them to watch either on their iPhone, their Android, their tablet, their computer, whatever. So once you get it converted to DVD for yourself, that's great. But if you got friends or people you want to see that, get it uploaded. We upload it. So this way you could just send a link to them and nobody else will see it other than those people who have that link.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it makes it easier too, because you might have, I have a couple friends that sometimes maybe they'd like to see this, and I'll go ahead and upload it and just say, here's the link. They say, can you send that to me? I just did. I just sent you. Here's the link. Watch it anytime. You don't need it on DVD. It's sitting on YouTube until there's no more YouTube. It's there.
Since the pandemic, I've been going through stuff, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I forgot I had this VHS, and I don't have anything to play it on.
Mm-hmm.
But it's worth keeping. It's memories.
Yeah, a lot of these, and I tell people, they think absolutely. Look, if you don't get this stuff transferred, it ain't gonna last forever, man. These tapes, some of the tapes that we get in, they're in such bad shape, and there's only so much that we can do. Especially if they're VHS.
Yeah.
And then what's even harder is the 8mm, because what happens is those little 8mm films from when we were really little kids, teeny little kids, those 8mm films, they split. I'll spend 3 hours having to resplice together an 8mm film for 5 minutes of film because they're so brittle. They get destroyed.
Yeah.
Through time. Even the cassettes, you got people who say, yeah, I got 100 mixtapes. I say, yeah, well, see me in 5 years when there's nothing left on them. Because there's just nothing, those tapes weren't meant to last forever, man. They just weren't.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to get ready to roll here. But Veronique, it was so great to have you on.
Oh, you know what? It was my pleasure. And it's just good to see you. I love what you're doing. Just keep it up. Cause it just brings back, even when it brings back good memories, memories of Chicago, good memories of, when we were young and dancing and not so tense.
Yeah.
And, it's like, everybody seems so tense.
Well, it was a much looser time, that's for sure. It was much better times, better music. And, I tell Tony Batoy, Tony's, I haven't talked to Tony in a while, but I said, dude, we're pushing up there. There ain't going to be too many people jacking in their 60s. All right. You're just going to have to put a bunch of chairs there and we'll just sit there and watch pictures of ourselves when we used to jack.
Yeah.
Because jacking can break a back or a kneecap or a toe these days. It's not going to be that easy for us. I put some more of those pictures up there.
I can't believe you found this picture of me.
Yep, that was.
Because I remember that. Oh my gosh, I look so young and innocent.
You were. Come on, as far as anybody knows, you were. Look, if your parents are watching, remember, you were. It's like telling my mother I was a good boy.
Yeah, but I just wondered where my. I must have had on like a low. Gosh. Oh, I remember that outfit. There used to be a little shop in Oak Park called the Peacock.
Mm-hmm.
And they used to sell all of this just really unique I just cannot believe that's me. You're gonna have to say I don't even have these pictures, Sal.
Yeah, I'll shoot you over the links and I'll shoot you over the links. I don't
even have these pictures. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
My changed.
It's 82. Well, I didn't hear something I didn't even know. I was talking to Armando. I think was it yesterday? I didn't realize that the apartment he had in Forest Park that was yours. That you were right. Because I remember I was having a rough time and I stayed by him for about a week or two, and I had no idea. And let me tell you, all he ever ate was Brown's chicken and pasta every day.
Oh, Brown's chicken was the best.
That was it. I said, Armando, don't you ever change it? And no, man, this is great stuff, man.
Oh, you can get what do you call it? A bucket of hearts.
And the fried mushrooms.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Good eating. Yeah, but I never knew that. He just told me. Because I remember when he was living there, and I stayed there for about a week or two. But I had no idea that was yours.
Yeah, and then I moved into an old brownstone, and I think Armando and my mom kind of talked because it was a condo.
Yeah.
Yep, it was a condo.
Yeah, on Circle Avenue over there.
Oh my gosh, I forgot I lived on Circle Avenue.
Yeah. Oh. You had to buzz. You had to dial the number. It was like a touch tone, and you had to dial it, and then you had to hit like the pound sign or star sign to buzz to come in to get to the elevator to go up the stairs. Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of parties went on there, I tell you.
Yeah, we'll save that for later.
Yeah. All right. It was great talking to you, and don't be a stranger.
No, I always stay in touch. So we're finishing up the Back in the Day group show. And don't forget, Veronique, I will send you the links to that. And if you're just joining us or you missed part of the earlier part of the show, it's always on demand on thebeatchicago.com, on our Twitch channel. And you can find more details on our Facebook group pages, including Back in the Day group and the WBMX page, Rumble, Twitter, tweet, blah, blah, and blah, blah, and blah, blah. We had Veronique on the show today. Next week, Coco Cortez is coming on. Remember, were you here when Coco was here?
No.
Yeah, Coco was at B96 and 103.5 with Armando at the beat.
Oh, yeah, I do. Yeah. I do.
And then we got Jesse Saunders coming up pretty soon, too.
Cool.
Curtis Urbina and Zoltar from Q101 working on Ray Parker Jr. and a host of others. Here on the Back in the Day show, brought to you by DigitalSaviorsChicago.com. Visit DigitalSaviorsChicago.com for more details. On behalf of little old me, Sal Amato, Veronique, thanks for joining us. Take care of yourselves. Behave yourselves. Eat well.
Yeah, you too. Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.